All right, everybody. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. This is the Reaction Channel Info Media Reacts, y'all. What's up, everybody? What's up? I want to talk about this gambling scandal in the NBA by way of a guy who was an ex-mobster, an ex-crime boss. We're talking about Michael Franzese. Here he is right here, y'all. Michael Franzese is going to, and I hope I'm saying that last name correct, Michael Franzese is a guy who's been involved. He's no stranger to manipulating athletes, seeking out whether it be college athletes or pro athletes. This is a man that was in the business as a mobster, as a crime boss, in the mafiosi, as we call it, mafiosa. This man is going to break down why you have NBA players and athletes who are vulnerable to the mobsters being able to manipulate them, whether it be illegal poker games, any type of gambling games. And I think that the NBA and many other sports have opened the door up for this to happen to them. To be quite honest with you, when they allow these legal betting books, now when you look at even on YouTube, you look at sports shows, they've got Underdog. Every sports show is promoting some type of bookie, some type of betting game or something. So gambling is as American as American pie. It's just the truth, okay? It ain't going away. It's going to keep happening, and you're always going to have people who either have gambling addictions or they are just plain stupid. Charles Barkley said he believes these players were just plain stupid. This man right here, Michael Franzese, has been in the game, like I said, for a very long time. He put him up. This is a picture of him in his younger years, and I'm going to play, we're going to do a reaction to his video, like I said, where he explains some of the stuff that's happening. A lot of the things he's going to say is going to tie into Chauncey Billups, who, as you know, Chauncey Billups was an ex-NBA basketball player who played with, had his most success with the Detroit Pistons when they won a championship. Okay. Now he was the coach of the Trail Blazers. They're trying to say that he was involved in these illegal poker games where he was actually involved in setting up his fellow NBA brethren, getting them caught up in these games where they had rigged dice, rigged machines, rigged everything. And here's Chauncey Billups once again right here. As he was coming out of court, he showed up to court with this clutch shirt on. People think that it's a message to Rich Paul, LeBron James, and everything, because Rich Paul owns the Clutch Sports brand, and there's conspiracy theories about this, why he wore that shirt on this day in question that you see right here. This situation is serious, okay? I'm hoping that Chauncey Billups, that it's not true, and all the basketball players or past ball players that were involved in this, I hope it's not true. We know that Gilbert Arenas got himself in trouble having poker games amongst people that he knew at his home, and he got in trouble with the FBI or the police with doing so, that it's led to, Gilbert Arenas losing his full ownership of his own podcast, right? And now there's a lot of conspiracy theory out there where people are trying to say, oh, well, he must have squealed on people like Chauncey Billups in the whole crew, and none of that has been substantiated. All of this is alleged right now. Usually when the feds come at you like this, they got a solid case on you if they come at you like this, but we still got to see if any of this is true, okay? But let me play one of the conspiracy theories. This is a video that's been going around social media as it relates to Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, and the whole situation there. let me fire this up real quick and see what you all think about this. Check this out.
Gambling conspiracy may even go deeper than any of us thought. If you didn't know, Chauncey Billups is rep by this man, Agent Andy Miller, and Miller's an agent at Clutch Sports. This is the same Andy Miller who years ago was one of the top NBA agents, but was dropped by most of his clients after being charged with bribery and fraud in this college basketball scandal. The fact that he currently reps Chauncey doesn't look great. Secondarily, Damon Jones, one of the other men being targeted in this gambling scheme, was not only LeBron's ex-teammate and coach, but he's also very close with the head of Clutch Sports, Rich Paul. You following along? Because it appears that after Billups was arrested, the man sent out a not-so-subtle signal to all of them. Bro showed up to his federal court hearing, not in a suit, not in some business casual.
Let's stop it right there. That's the shirt that he came on. He didn't show up in business casual like he said. This is the conspiracy theory behind it, but he did show up with this shirt.
Attire, but he showed up wearing.
And let me stop right there. This guy right here thinks that he's sending a message to Paul, Rich Paul, and everybody that's involved in Clutch Sports that, hey, if y'all don't get me out, I'm going to start squilling. This is the conspiracy theory that this guy is coming up with. I don't know how true any of this is right now, but I do find it interesting that the same guy that's representing Chauncey Billups, his lawyer, is the same lawyer that was involved in a gambling scandal before, and that the individuals that have gotten caught up in this have some connection to Rich Paul and the Clutch Sports, which Rich Paul is best friends with LeBron James, who put him on. But none of this has been instantiated, so it needs to be instantiated. But let me continue to play some more of this.
A brown hoodie with Clutch Sports written across the chest. Now, maybe this is a coincidence, but it sure looks like this man's sending out a bat signal to Clutch. You either get me out of here or I'm snitching. So that begs the question, does that mean there are more people from Clutch involved? And look, I have no idea, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But this right here does not seem like an accident. And I'll tell you one other thing. If there are others involved, if you thought Gilbert Arenas snitched, then this man about to sing like a canary. This gambling conspiracy may even go deeper than any of us thought. If you didn't know, Chauncey Billups
Let's
is
come
rep
out of
by
that.
this man, Agent.
Let's come on out of that. I don't know if you want to believe that or not, but that's something that was on out there in the social media sphere where this guy has come up with his conspiracy theory as to what's going on. Do I find it interesting that Chauncey Billups is being represented by a man who was a lawyer, who was involved in gambling scandals himself? I find that very interesting. Who knows what the truth is? But let me let you hear. Now, another thing I want to say about Michael Franzese. This guy right here. The thing about him that you all have to remember is that he's mobbed up. This guy is not in the mob anymore, but he's got a YouTube channel. He's speaking upon this. He's coming at it with experience because he did the same thing to turn athletes around to doing what? He says you get these athletes in debt. You get them compromised. And once they're compromised, they'll do anything you ask them to do. That he says a lot of these athletes are used to living on the edge, and gambling is one other thing that gets them on the edge. So this man, Michael Franzese, this is a man who at one point in time was preying on athletes himself. And he did time in prison in the whole 9 yards. This guy was real mobbed up. But another thing about him that you should know is that did you know this? That Al Sharpton, and many people believe that Al Sharpton was a FBI informant. Well, guess who broke the beans on that? Once again, Michael Franzese. This ex-mobster said that, yes, that Reverend Sharpton was a informant. Now, I tend to believe that, being the fact that this man was involved in organized crime, and he would know who informants are, because they say you can't run. He had mentioned, you're going to hear him say that when it comes to informants, You need informants to bring down what we would call these illegal gambling rings and what have you. You need informants. So this guy would know because there was informants that brought him down. I just wanted to add that because, you know, Al Sharpton is one of those guys that we've been hearing could have been an informant, you know, something of that nature. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Make sure you comment, subscribe to this channel when you get a chance. And thank you for watching this video wherever you are in the world. And let's get to Michael here and let you hear what he had to say about this whole situation. This is very interesting stuff here. Let's go ahead and go right to it. Here we go. Let's fire it up.
And started working with all the major leagues back then. And obviously that was followed up by the NCAA, and have done over 300 universities, both Division I and Division II, speaking to all the student athletes over the years. So why did they pick me? Because I had a big gambling operation on the street. I had 12 or 13 bookmakers working for me at that time. And so obviously I knew a lot of athletes get in trouble all the time, you know, with respect to gambling. It happens. I don't like to throw a wide net over everybody, but listen, you got to understand with athletes, gambling is an extension of their competitiveness.
Now I want to stop it right there. The reason why he's making these statements is because of his background as an ex-mobster, getting athletes caught up in these gambling type of trick bags. A lot of schools, colleges, and organizations, they invite Michael Franzese. They invite Michael to various universities and schools to address the issues of illegal gambling and people trying to lure students, in this case, student athletes. Okay. So that's what this is. This guy has been called on. The people have contacted him to do major speeches and discussions around this issue because he is the man who wrote the blueprint for getting college athletes to shave points in basketball games. He did it all. Let's continue here. This is Michael Franzese. I'm just having a hard time with that last name, but here we go.
They raise the stakes when they gamble. And this is what happens. Many of them get in trouble, whether they be in pros or in college, but it's been happening and it will continue to happen. Now, 4 of the 5 New York families were involved in this investigation. It just broke this morning. And, you know, oddly enough, the Colombos, my former associates, my former family, they weren't involved. So either they were smart and didn't get themselves in trouble, or somehow they're missing the boat. I don't know what it is. But
now, everybody, this is the thing that kills me about this whole situation. I just want to say this real quick, everybody. Everyone that's listening, I appreciate you. I have to say this. This is the thing that's killing me about this whole thing. They keep telling you that the mob is involved. This guy, as I said, was mobbed up. They keep telling you that the mob was involved, that it was about 4 or 5 families. But the people that are the ones being arrested, that are the ones going to court so far, have been people like Chauncey Billups. It's a shame if he was doing this as a coach. And you have players that have been caught in this whole dragnet, okay, being arrested. The thing that interesting to me is that you've got black people being arrested, but we haven't seen any of these Italians or these mobsters that they named in this situation. Have we seen any of them taking a perk walk? Any of them going in and out of a courtroom? Have we seen their faces plastered on the screen? I just want to say, everybody, I find it highly suspicious that they are going after these black athletes and the coach in the case of Chauncey Billups. I find it right. I find that interesting that they're going after Chauncey and those other ex-NBA players or current NBA players that happen to be black, but they keep saying that all these crime families were involved, and we have yet to see their faces plastered on the news or see them walking in and out with their lawyers from a court or being arrested and put in cuffs. Don't you find that very interesting, everybody, okay? I just want to say that. I just find it interesting. Let's go.
Let's get into this a little bit. And let me make you understand this, people. It's always going to continue. I did a media deal this morning, and they said to me, Michael, we haven't heard much about organized crime, ever since, the Gotti days. We haven't heard much. You don't hear that much. Let me tell you something. They got smart. They're working undercover now. It's not the same as it was in my lifetime. No doubt about that. But they're not going away. And I've said this many times. They're not going away in my lifetime. They're very resourceful, and gambling will always be a major business of Cosa Nostra.
Right. It's going to always be a major business, and it's even more of a major business now because the NBA, as well as the NFL, baseball, they have gotten in bed with these gambling books. So they've now legalized it on a certain level to have these gambling books. And every time you're looking at look at a football game or a basketball game on TV, they keep bombarding you with these gambling, games that you can play, scratch off gambling games, everything to continue to get addictive. It's just amazing to me that you've got NBA players, or a coach and Chauncey Billups that gets himself in trouble, right? But yet these sports leads are hypocrites because they also promote gambling to the public. And then the mafia, they didn't go away. They just went underground, but they're taking advantage of the cryptocurrency and all the other technologies to run their scams. And it's even easier for them because of the computer technology.
That's just how it is. It's very attractive. It's very lucrative. Guys love to gamble, and they love to make money by gambling. So, yes, they're going to continue. Are the sports leagues going to be targeted? Of course.
Yes.
Because they know athletes are easy prey in many, many cases. I'm sorry. They used to come to me, my bookmakers, and tell me things, which I'll get into a little bit. Athletes are easy prey.
Why are they easy prey? Because just like Charles Barkley said on TNT, he said, it ain't about them being addicted to gambling. It's about these guys are stupid. Now, there are people that are addicted to gambling, but I do believe that Charles Barkley was on point, that they're just stupid. This ex-mobster Michael is going to tell y'all that a lot of times he was able to manipulate these athletes because a lot of them were dumb, a lot of them were greedy, a lot of them were caught up in this living on the edge.
Themselves in trouble. They owe a debt, and they got to do whatever they got to do to get out of it. Sometimes we have to intimidate them. Sometimes they just play along with us, whatever. But it happens, and it's not going to stop happening. Why? Because today, athletes have more access to gambling than they did in my day. Back in my day, you had to go to a bookmaker. You had to go to Vegas, maybe Atlantic City. Today, no.
No, because the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, and many other sports have now made it legal. So now you got every company online promoting gamble. Hell, even you even got professional athletes who have a podcast, like Gilbert Arenas. He got Underdog, right? You've got these sports podcasts all over social media, and every time you turn around, they're trying to promote some damn gambling. And another thing that he said that I want to touch on when it comes to someone like Chauncey Billups, for example, because he's the big name in all of this. That's why I keep bringing his name up, is that he says sometimes these athletes will get in debt. And when they get in debt, they can now squeeze you and manipulate you. I just wonder, because Chauncey Billups is making all this money as a coach and has made a lot of money as a professional athlete as well. I wonder if he got himself in, if this is true, if he did this allegedly, if it's true, allegedly, I wonder if someone like Chauncey, who's all this time since he's been in our public face, in our public atmosphere, has always been a stand-up guy. I wonder if he got himself caught up in something that he couldn't get out of, because that's exactly what the mob likes to do to people. I'm just asking.
Today you can gamble anywhere. So what happens when they gamble legally and they lose their money legally? What do they do then? They try to make it up somewhere. They turn to a bookmaker. They have relationships on the street that say, I know how to get you out of this. Don't worry about it. And they do what Chauncey Billups does and a few of the other guys. And this is a widespread net that they
You see what I'm saying? Just like I said, Michael is saying that these guys, they get themselves caught up, and now they're into the meat. They're into the mob. They're in with the mob to a tune of lots and lots of money. And another thing that people need to understand too, people always say, well, if these athletes are making a lot of money, why would they need to do any of this sort of stuff? For the thrill. And at the end of the day, they're not thinking with their big head. Let's get back to this. A lot of people do it for the thrill. A lot of people are goofy. But a lot of these guys coming into professional life, and they get all this money, and they never been taught how to manage their money, and they get caught with one of these guys like this guy here, Michael, who did this as a living back in the day, manipulating these athletes. Let's go.
Pulled out over here. I'm going to read you an article so you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you that, that aren't aware of this yet today, but you will be because it's big news. And I'll go through it and then we can talk about it. I'll give you my comments. Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, big name, great player, amazing. And Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, current player, and former NBA guard coach Damon Jones were among 34 individuals arrested Thursday in a federal FBI operation. These are big names, people. The arrests were part of an FBI-led investigation involving multiple agencies and the NYPD targeting La Cosa Nostra crime families. I don't know if we were the target at this point. Listen, it's so hard to get away with something today because especially when you have a lot of people involved, somebody's going to mess up. Somebody's going to become an informant.
Right. Somebody's going to become an informant. But this is the thing that Michael just said that was interesting, everybody. He just said he doesn't know if the crime families were the main target or if it was just the athletes. See, because the athletes make a bigger splash because they have name recognition. But this is what bothers me again, everybody, because he just said it. All these crime families that the FBI under Kash Patel came out with that press conference, I want to know again, why haven't we seen the members of these crime families, these mobsters, why haven't you not seen any of them in court or with their lawyers coming out of a building or in handcuffs or any of this stuff, the way you've been seeing the athletes? I'm just asking that question again. Make sure you give me a good comment in the comment section of this video, and thank you for watching again. Let's continue.
Somebody's going to start to work with, the investigators. You can't get away with this for too long. Now, some of you may say, well, Michael, they might have made millions of dollars already. True. And maybe if they're going to do a couple of years in jail, they'll figure, hey, it's worth it. I'm set up when I come home. There's a lot of different schools of thought on this, but you're never going to get away with it forever. Very, very difficult, especially when you got high-profile players, because honestly, they're not all that smart.
Didn't I just say? This is what Charles Barkley was saying on TNT, that a lot of these guys are not smart. They're stupid. They're making dumb decisions. These guys are making good money as professional athletes, and then they want to go put their life and their livelihood on the line, getting involved with the mob. But right. So as Michael is saying, this is a man that you see on this screen here that was a mob boss. This is what he did. He was into the gambling. I'm going to say that again. And he was into getting athletes to turn and do illegal things. And he was successful at it for a long time before eventually he got busted and went to prison. I think he went to federal prison at some point in time, and then he turned his life around and got himself involved in, doing things like this, selling wine and what have you. That's his wine brand and what have you. But back in his younger years, he was ruthless, as you see right there. And as he said, these guys are not that smart. And let's be honest, sometimes these athletes come into money that they've never really had all their life, and they don't know how to manage their money properly. They get then there's hanger-on type people. There's bad influences that come around them, like people that want to take them for a lot of money and get them caught up in gambling schemes or get them in debt because they've been gambling.
They don't know the ways of the street. They're not all that smart. They're going to get themselves jammed up. Okay. All three face charges of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Interesting.
Wow.
We'll get into that. The investigation included 2 coordinated operations, Operation Zen Diagram and Operation Nothing But Net. You know, it was both, it involved sports gambling and it involved card playing. And this is the oldest trick in the book.
It's the card
with
playing.
cards.
Right.
Oldest
right.
trick in the book. I mean, this goes back God knows how long, certainly during my day and beyond.
Right. Everybody, don't get yourself caught up in these. He is absolutely right. Card games, these underground gambling houses. I wouldn't even get myself involved in going to someone's house for some these private poker games like what Gil Arenas was having at his home allegedly before the police put a stop to that, or the feds put a stop to it. Just don't indulge if you can.
The operation spanned 11 U.S. states. They focused on illegal gambling, money laundering schemes linked to organized crime. Remember this, people. Any bookmaker that can carry a bet or handle a big bet, they're going to be involved with organized crime. You know, in New York especially. Why? Because number one, we're not going to let them operate alone. They're going to have to operate with us. We're not going to let an illegal bookmaker operate on his own. He's going to have to answer to us.
Did y'all hear what he said? So in New York, for example, or just bookmakers, they have to answer to the mob. The mob controls all of that. So sometimes these NBA players could be engaging with bookmakers that they don't even know that these bookmakers are connected to the mob. And then when they get themselves in debt, get themselves caught up, what does the mob do? The mob is the one that comes in and collects the money because the bookmakers go in partnership with the mob because the mob won't let them operate independently, but the mob provides them muscle, meaning if someone doesn't pay their debts, then the mob puts the pressure on that individual. Could this be how some of these NBA players got themselves caught up as well? Let's continue with what he's saying on this area.
And if he doesn't, he's in trouble. We'll put him out of business or whatever. All right? And they want to work with us because remember, bookmakers give credit. They don't take your credit card. They don't take your money up front. They give credit. Well, if they have a collection problem, what are they going to do?
They're going to
Very
call
simple.
you.
They come to us and we
See what I
collect.
said?
We're pretty good at collecting. So bookmakers want to be involved with us. They'll give up a piece of the action just to have the protection from us. So if you're dealing with a bookmaker that can carry any kind of a bet, they're going to be involved with us in some way, shape, or form. I'm saying us. You know, I'm not a member anymore, but, you know, sometimes I just say things like that.
So this man says he's not a member anymore, but he just says things like that sometimes. I just want y'all to really understand what's going on here. I just wonder how is this how Chauncey Billups got himself caught up in this nonsense? Was he starting off in this situation kind of innocently, and then he got himself caught up to the point where the mob was asking him to bring some of his fellow NBA players to their game, their gaming areas, right? This just seems to be, to me, it makes sense that, let's say allegedly that Chauncey was involved in this, but he got involved in this because he was an entanglement, because he owed money. And you know, when you're dealing with the mob, when the mob gets involved, they're going to ask more of you. They know that Chauncey Billups is a ex-NBA basketball player who has other NBA friends that he can invite to these games because they're saying that he's being indicted on someone who was involved in setting up or being involved in recruiting well-known athletes and people to play in these games that were rigged by the mob. Say it ain't so, Chauncey. I hope it ain't so.
So let's keep going. FBI Director Kash Patel stated the operation uncovered schemes where NBA players and coaches, not surprised, rigged gambling systems to benefit criminal networks. They're working with guys on the street. A confidential, listen to this, and this is what I just said. A confidential FBI source recorded over 3,000 calls and meetings with targets and participated in rigged poker games using cheating devices, an example, shuffling devices and X-ray tables. Again, oldest trick in the book. They're more
oldest trick in the book. If Chauncey was involved in all of this, he's finished. And I played that video for you earlier where the white dude was making speculation that Chauncey might be sending subliminals to Clutch Sports to get him out of this situation before he squeals and let everyone know who else is involved in this. There could be more people, more than we think. Chauncey is being represented by a lawyer who himself was involved in sports scamming or scandal, allegedly. Continue.
Sophisticated now. If you go back to the movie Casino, remember when De Niro caught the guy? They had the little, the device, and they were signaling somebody at another table when they were playing blackjack at that time.
Right.
Oldest trick in the book, really. And now, with the level of sophistication technologically that they have, forget it. They can do wonders, especially when people are playing along with them.
Y'all hear what he was saying? I said that earlier. Gambling is more technological, and this is the trick bag of it. Like I said, you've got the NBA as well as the NFL, the MLB. These professional sports in America are so in the bid with these gambling organizations that are making it easy for you to gamble online. And every time you look at a game, they're promoting some type of gaming or gambling app, or go online or go to some website, and fantasy football has now become more embedded in gambling. And we know how much gambling goes on in the NCAA. I'm sure that this man right here that you've been listening to, a real original gangster himself, I'm sure back in the day, I'm pretty sure, I wonder how many games in the NCAA tournament that he was able to manipulate if he was able to get to some of these college athletes, basketball players back in the day. Because he got himself in trouble for doing these things.
3,000 calls they got on tape. Billups and Jones were identified as face cards, and they're former pro athletes that used to lure victims referred to as fish into poker games. Who wouldn't want to play, poker with an NBA player? Who wouldn't? Hey, come on to the table. Let's have some fun together. They want to be around the player. It's good for them. They sit down, they play a little game of poker, and that guy, the NBA player, is luring them into a fixed game.
Whoa. Chauncey Billups, tell it, man, please tell me that it ain't so, that you were involved in luring your own peers. Whether it be, hell, it might be other coaches. I say peers, even though he's a coach, because there are guys that played in the NBA that if Chauncey told them to come to these games and he knew that the games were rigged, then that speaks to the lack of character of a Chauncey Billups, if this is true. These are allegations, but is this true? Let's go.
Let me tell you something. Guys that are gamblers, they're easy prey also. You give them an opportunity where they can earn money with something that they love to do, gambling. It's in their blood, in their system. Wow. They love it. Easy prey. They're fish. That's basically what they are. Fish. The fish were unaware of the face cards. The face cards were called the NBA players, were part of the scheme. Rozier, big player, allegedly faked, listen to this, not uncommon at all. He faked an injury during a March 23rd, 2023 game. Mm-hmm. The Hornets and the Pelicans were playing, and they allowed co-defendant De Niro Laster to place insider bets. Remember this, it's never about winning or losing. It's about what? The point spread. I'll give you an example. I'm going to go back because I don't want.
The point spread is a big deal, has always been a big deal. But listen to the language that he's using. They called the NBA players fish, meaning wet behind the ear, easy prey for them to make money off of, because they're fish, because they didn't know that the games that they were engaged in were rigged games. And the FBI is trying to say that Chauncey Billups invited them into rigged games knowingly. This is crazy.
And then, look, innocent until proven guilty. These are allegations. We don't know. This is what's being alleged. We'll see. Let me give you an example. Let's go back, to players that aren't playing anymore. Lakers are playing, right? An inside bet. They got an inside deal with the referee. Let's say the referee, and don't think that this doesn't happen.
That's
it
right.
absolutely does.
It can happen.
The referee
That's right.
wants to make some money. It's Christmas time. He needs a few extra bucks. God forbid one of his kids, need an operation. He needs some extra money. So what happens? It's never about winning or losing. It's about the spread. Lakers are favored to win by 10 points, right? He's got somebody he can
Only
trust.
in America.
An uncle, a cousin, a
Only in
brother, a
America.
neighbor, somebody very close to him. Listen, I want you to bet, X amount of dollars on the under. Well, what do you mean? Kobe Bryant, all these guys, Shaq are playing again. You sure you want to go the under? Just put it on the under for me. So now the referee, this. He can call a foul every time these guys move down the court, or he doesn't have to call the foul. He misses it, right? So what does he do? He gets Kobe, he gives him an extra foul or two, and he puts him on the bench for extra time. Limits the possibility of the game going to the over.
Right. This stuff has been going on in professional sports for time immemorial, where guys are shaving points. Guys are getting themselves fouling out of games. Guys are passing the ball in misdirections. Guys are purposely missing shots that they would normally make. Guys that are trying to antagonize other star players so that those star players will foul out of the game or get a penalty put on them or something. This is the manipulation of sports, and this is where the mob has been inundated in this game we call basketball, football for many, many decades.
If he does this a few times, he's going to make some money. He may not score in the first game, but over a period of time, he's going to make some money. It's very easy to manipulate an NBA game. He just did it. He told his friend, I'm going to go out on an injury. Bet the under.
Wow.
That's what he does. They make it. Very, very simple. I have experience with this, people.
He has experience with this because this is what he used to do to athletes back in the 70s and the 80s and what have you when he was in his heyday as a legitimate, connected mobster. Mobster, everybody. This is crazy. Everybody, I want to thank you for watching the video. Make sure, once again, you share this video on all your social media. Share in your social media. Share it with someone that you know. Like and comment on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. I would appreciate that. We're going to see how this whole situation turns out. Once again, I hate the fact that Chauncey Billups and all these other black players are involved in this, but I do find it interesting that we have not seen any of these mobsters, these crime families that were named in this. We haven't seen any of these guys in a jumpsuit, a perk walk, in handcuffs, or being asked to explain themselves, to the media. I don't know how that's going to work anyway, but I just find it interesting that the only people that you are seeing on TV with their face being put on TV as being involved is the black athlete, but the people that were behind this whole thing, which is the mob, why is it we haven't seen? Maybe they have shown it, maybe they are, but I just find it interesting. You let me know in the comment section of this video, what do you think about what I just said? I want to thank you all for coming over and joining this podcast. Thank you, everybody. Peace and respect. Peace. Info Media reacts.
Every other one could be decided.